So you make some really, really interesting points, right? You have multiple layers that you can, well, rights under the copyright law, Copyright Act, but also those are ways you can actually monetize and manipulate or, you know, make money off of your rights.
I haven't even gotten to the making money part.
Right, exactly.
I haven't even touched on how to monetize your music at all.
But before we go into the money part, the administration part is so important.
Yes.
I mean, you could be signed to a publisher that handles all these rights or, have be represented. But if you're an independent artist and you don't have all those resources, what is your advice into managing all of those things? Because they're important. Because once the song leaves your domain, you don't know where it's going to go. You don't know how it's going to perform. It could be a hit somewhere else and you never know about it. That has happened. So how do you manage and, deploy resources to making sure your administration is correct?
Knowledge is power. Today, you can find out just about anything by doing your research. Where it gets tricky is that there's so much information out there, you don't know who's telling the truth. Okay? So it's not what knowledge you get, but where you get the knowledge from. So basically, you need to make sure when he's talking about the administration part of your music is make sure that your music, especially for the sync world, for us as music supervisors, that your metadata is correct. Now, metadata are descriptives that describe your music. And if your music is properly described, then it's easier for music supervisors to be able to place it. But by creating your music, it's really, really important that you have it organized. I guess metadata, besides metadata, is organized. Do you have an Excel sheet where you know who wrote the song, who the publisher is for the song if it's you? Do you know how many co-writers you have in there, what their splits are, what their IPI numbers are? And I could go on with the lists on and on and on. These are all specific information that you need to have on your song. So if you don't know how to get that, and you're not sure who's going to rip you off or who's going to do the right thing for you on the internet, there's also Sync Musica. I started out this company as a sync company. My intention was not to educate. But along the lines, I had so many friends that came and said, hey, can you sync my song? Can you sync my album? Can you sync this? I said, do you have this, and this? And they were like, nah, I don't have that. I go, but I distribute my music. Distributing your music is very different than putting your music in a film or synchronizing it. So they would say, no, we don't have all those things in place. I said, okay, I need to start educating people. I started speaking at colleges, at SAE, doing workshops. If you go to my Instagram, you'll see workshops. The very first panel I put together was at an indie film conference. And I had the super women of sync from Sony. All the executive women from sync, from lawyers to publishing to licensing, that explain to you what the process is. Now, these are valuable resources, but do you think you can pick up the phone and call somebody at Sony and say, hey, can you help me? Nah, it's not going to happen like that. But I am a very accessible resource. I believe that you are also as well.
I am.
Because you do these events to empower artists and educate. Getting your music sync ready means you have to produce it properly. Okay. You also have to make sure that when you're getting ready to pitch your music to us as music supervisors, you have everything in place. Don't send your music through WhatsApp. Don't send your music on a text. Don't send 10 songs. I told you what you shouldn't do.
But yes, definitely. But there's one caveat I think a lot of people don't know about. One resource in Disco. Disco, most people don't know about Disco. It's the number one platform for music supervisors and people in the same world. So how do you utilize Disco and how important is it for the musicians in terms of pitching? How important is it?
So we're going to give you the insight here. There's Disco, and just recently I'm part of the Hispanic Music Supervisors, which is based out of Mexico. I was at a conference there, and they also talked about Bridge. There's two. There's Disco and there's Bridge. These are platforms where you can, if you sign up and you pay a fee, you can go in there and create your catalog, put your catalog there with the proper metadata. But you have to know first what it is before you go in there. You're going to do your research, watch the videos, etc. You can do it on your own, or you can approach a music supervisor that has a catalog. We currently have a catalog that I handpicked myself. It took me 3 years with 1,000 songs and 50 artists. I handpicked, listened to every single song. They're from all over the United States. Some are from outside the country, like in Chile and Spain. And we created a catalog that was very unique, but not only because of the variety, but because of the quality. Make sure that everything you create is top-notch quality. Okay. If you do rap and it's not as good as, let's say, I don't know, Jay-Z, you get it up there. Emulate your successful hip-hop artist.
Right.
If you're doing reggaeton, if you're doing, I don't know, if you're doing make sure you compare your music to level of what you're putting out there, broadcast quality.
But so I have a question. So why is that so important? Why can't I just, make something in my home studio, have a okay production, mix and mastering, and get to the to broadcast and music supervisor? Why is that so important?
Because we're not going to listen to it. The minute we listen to first 8 bars and everything sounds like it was not properly mastered, mixed, you're not using the best sounds possible, the best plugins, etc., we're going to go, wait a second, that doesn't sound up to par to that song I just got from, a top-notch artist. So the quality is really important. You don't have to spend tons of money on it, but you do have to be very particular with what you're using and what plugins you're using that are going to make your song and your music sound the best.